Okay, hi, hello. So let us start. I'll start sharing my screen. So what am I going to do is we have already spoken about the spring part in the previous session. So let us start. We'll have to start two different projects here. Okay. So let us do that quickly and try to complete this as soon as okay. So all of you need to basically join here in this link. Okay. So now what I'll do next is new project, and under my project let me switch back to my directory. Okay, so this is my Spring Core app. This is going to be my Spring Core app. We will again stick to jdk 11 and we'll stick to maven. Yeah, I will stick to maven. Or if you want to work with any other archetype initially, that is fine. What I'll do here is work with my initial part. Okay, let me just change the theme to, okay, this is my Spring Core app. I will just create it and I'll open in the new window. Close the old one and let me switch back to dark theme. Okay, so next is what we need to do is under my project. As we have discussed last time, I have started with the first one. So here I will now have my pom.xml, and in my pom.xml, we have spoken about multiple things, right, last time. And I need to add a dependency. So the dependency is going to be a Spring Framework, Spring Context dependency. So under my properties, I'll do what I'll add my dependencies. And once I add my dependencies, let me do a Maven reload. Let me do a Maven reload. Yeah, this is important. If you can understand how exactly this works, this is going to be very important concept. So once we are done with that, now how do we work on this? So if you have any question, please let me know. Because we have discussed about like why the dependency injections and other things, we have already discussed this during the session. So next is what, once I have added the dependency inside my package in main, I have my Java, and so inside Java, I will create my package. Let me call it as com.code with Z, and inside this, I will create one of like my files. So now the first file which I want to create here is basically, let us call it as hello.java file. Let me call it as hello.java file, and under this hello.java file, I will write my setter getter. I will write my setter getter, that is what, private string message. Okay, then under this private string message, I will generate my setter and getter. That is okay, and also I will add my constructor. So constructor, I am adding a blank one. So I'm adding a blank constructor here. That is fine. So I have written my hello.java file. Now, in this based upon this hello.java file, what I want to do is I want to show you how these things will be working. So for that reason, now in my resources directory, what I'll do is I'll create a file and let me call that particular file as application context.xml, because this is where all my configuration will happen now. So it will be what application context.xml, and I will add this up. And under my application context, see, I will have to add certain preset values. So first preset value is this, that I'm adding the beans framework. Yeah, I'm adding the beans framework. And after my beans framework, what I'll have to do is, so these are all my beans which we need to add. Then I will say end of beans. And between these beans, I will add my bean now. So the first bean, what I want to add, ID, is what I'll say hello. And then I'll have to specify my class. And this class is what com dot code with z dot hello. I want to load this class. So this will be the end of the bean. And what is the property I have here? So property name is message. Property name is message, and then the value is, let's say, hey coding hours. So this time I am setting up my property. So this brings us to the end of my property, and this is my bean. So this is the place where I have configured everything. And now inside my Java file, let me write my main.java file. And under my main.java file, I'll write my main class, main method. Under my main, I write this thing. And then what do I do next? In my application context, first, from the Spring framework, I'll have to take what? Application context is equal to new class path XML application context. So it will know where to go and find in this project's class path. There is a file by the name of what? Application context. And then let me load the hello class. So I'll say hello is equal to, see, this is the ID which I have given in my application context. This is the ID which I've given in the application context. Then I say get bean, and I will cast it back to hello, because this will return a java.lang.object. Yeah, it returns me an object. And then I can simply say system.out.println hello dot get message. Now see, this seems to be a very small code, but it is all like simplest example in my Spring application. See, it says hey coding hours. So do you remember like what we have discussion? We have done some discussion last time. Here, what type of injection I am using? What is the injection I am using on line 10 here? What is the type of injection that I am applying here? Anyone can help me out with that in chat box. What is the type of injection we are using here in this particular line? Okay. Yeah. What type of injection are we using here? Do you remember? We studied two different types. One was what? One was constructor. Another was setter, right? Yeah. So this is a setter injection. Yes. Perfect. 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 This is a setter. What we are using here right now. This is my setter injection. Okay. Now let us try one with the constructor injection. Yeah. Let us try one with the constructor injection. Under my constructor injection, what will I do? Let me add a new Java class and let me call it as car.java. Let me call it as car.java. Under car, I will add two more things. I will say string name and string price. I should have my setter getter obviously, so I'll go to generate. I'll add setter getter. Then I'll also generate my constructor with name and price. and I'll add one constructor which is be blank. Okay, I'll add one constructor which is blank. So this is a simple Java class. See, this is a simple Java class with constructor. Now what I'll do in my application context, I'll add one more bean. I'll say bean id is car, class is com dot code with z dot car, and between this bean, what will I say is I'll have to add my, yeah, I will have to add the constructor value. So I'll say constructor argument, and I will straight away give the value. So the first value is what? Let's say Tata Nexon. Then I say another constructor R value is equal to, let's say, 12 lakh 50,000. So this is my bean, and in this bean, what will I do? See, I can add multiple. Okay, so let me call this as Nexon, and at the same time, I'll add one more bean, and let us call that bean as city. So this time I say this is what? Honda City. ID should be different, and let's say this is 14 lakh 50,000 rupees. And I go back to my main. This time, what I do? It's a car Nexon is equal to car dot context, and I get Nexon, and then I can simply print here Nexon dot get name, system dot out dot println Nexon dot get price. At same time, I'll say car city is Honda City, and this time city dot get name. This time city dot get price. And now when I execute, see what will happen. I'll just put up system dot out dot println. So coding owls, see, getting this? How do we create a simple MVC based application? Sorry, this is a Spring Core application, and this is how we normally write it. So I will push this to the repo. Spring Core app. So I will quickly have to just create. Okay, so this is my first 2025 repository. Okay, so I have pushed it to the repository, and I would like you all to take 5 minutes to just quickly go through this. I have added this in the chat box. Yeah, please go through this. I will be back in 2 minutes. Okay, so let us go to the next part now, which is Spring MVC. And again, an important part here, how it works. So I'm looking for a good tutorial on it. Okay, so this is how your Spring MVC framework looks like. Okay, now you need to focus here a bit upon how this works. If you have any question, please ask me. I will give you this link in the chat box as well. We'll have our own example. We'll just use this for simple reference to understand how does MVC look like. So Spring MVC framework follows model view controller architectural design pattern, which works around front controller, that is dispatcher servlet. Now dispatcher servlet handles and dispatches all the incoming HTTP requests to the appropriate controller. It uses add controller annotation and add request mapping as a default request handler. The controller annotation defines that particular class in a controller, that is request mapping annotation, maps web request to the Spring controller method. This term model view and controller are as follows. They goes like the model encapsulates the application data. The view renders the model and generates the HTML output that the client browser can interpret. And then the controller controls the processes the data and passes them to the view for rendering. Now see, the overall request model looks like this. Everything here will work with dispatcher servlet. So in the dispatcher servlet, how will this work? Is first, all the incoming requests are accepted by whom? Dispatcher servlet. Here, like your other servlet, you cannot pass the data directly to the end servlet. यहाँ पे क्या होता है आपका पूरा डिस्पैचिंग जो मैं आई जस्ट टेक दिस डायग्राम एंड लेट अस ओपन इट ऑन आवर code block. Okay. So let us open one pen notes. Okay. So here basically what will happen? Okay. So here all your requests will first go through. Yeah, all your requests will first go through the dispatcher server. This is the core entity. It's a very core part of Spring MVC. First, it will pass to the handler mapping. Yeah, there will be a handler written. That handler will be responsible. It will find how many controllers are there. So at controller are nothing but my handlers. So it will go to the control. It will have the list of the controllers. It will check the dispatcher servlet, the call which has come, maps for which controller. It will go to that controller. Controller will tell them, okay, this is the model and the view for it. So now models are something we will create. Models are something which we'll create. So it will go to that model and the view. Now based on that, a view resolver is there. View resolver will tell you that for like view resolver, see for example you are doing what, from here you're calling to a servlet. Let's say you want to make an addition servlet. So in the addition servlet you are passing two numbers. Let's say value is 1 and 2. The numbers you are passing is 1 and 2. In 1 you pass 5, in 2 you pass 7. Now the response should be what, 12, right? So first, what will happen in the handler mapping? It will go and find, is there any addition controller? Is there any controller for addition? If yes, it will go to that controller. From once they go to the controller, they will find the for that model and view. Under the model and view, it will go to that, like it will find, okay, this is an addition class. This is what we want to display. And there is a view for it, which is, let's say, a file by name addition.jsp. So under my addition.jsp, what we are going to do, we are going to just generate a view. That view will be given to your dispatcher servlet and a response is generated. So this is overall how does your, and you can configure multiple such applications with your MVC here. So all the incoming requests are intercepted by dispatcher servlet that works as a front controller. Then the dispatcher servlet then gets entry for handler mapping from an XML file and forwards the request to the controller. The object of model and view is returned by the controller. The dispatcher servlet checks the entry of the view resolver in the XML file and invokes the appropriate view component. So this is how your step works. So let us try to do this practically now. Yeah, let us try to do this one practically now. How will we do that? So for getting this, we need to start a new application for MVC this time. Yeah. For this, we will start with an MVC based application, and let us go here and select a new project, call it as Spring MVC app. This time I'll select Maven archetype, and under my Maven archetype I say Spring. What do we normally select? This I need to select Maven MVC. If I select Java and if I select Spring MVC app, what it will do is under my dependency. What do we select for सर्वलेट जेएसपी के लिए क्या चूज किया था हम लोगों ने? We'll have to choose that one only here. First part. What was the type we chose for? Do you anyone remember? Like, थोड़ा सा भूल गया. Yeah, we select web app, right? Because we are creating a web app, we have to select a web app. Even archetype web app, and then let's call it as Spring MVC app. And under advanced settings, yeah, I can go and later on change my execution type to. Okay, so I select a Spring MVC app. Under my Spring Maven app, what is that I need to do here is add my dependencies. And before I also add my dependencies here, packaging has to be var. That is something you need to remember. And under my dependencies, Spring MVC, and there are three more dependencies which I need to add. So I'll just paste it here and do my Maven reload. Okay, so I have added Java X Servlet for JSTL. For Spring MVC, I need to add Spring MVC, and Servlet API, I need to add this. Then what do I do is in my SRC, I have got multiple folders here. So under my main and under my main, I need to add certain files now. So let us do what is inside my main, add a new directory. Let us call it as Java. And under Java, let me create a package. Let me call it as com.code with Z. And under com.code with Z, let me add my additional. See, this is where I will add my addition controller. So for my addition controller, I'll have to mark this as what at controller. It's a stereotype controller. We call it as what addition controller. Now we get multiple. So we'll come back to this controller part in a while. And under my web app now, under my web app. So how do we configure? This was the first one. Then inside my web app, I have got this index dot. I have got this index.jsp and the other files as well. So then inside my web inf, I need to add another file here, which will call it as an XML file. Let me call that file as dispatcher hyphen servlet.xml. We need to add a file dispatcher hyphen servlet.xml to tell my dispatcher servlet that this is the main servlet and what where we want to make. So the codes have to be done. Then inside my web inf, I need to create another directory which we call it as views. This is where we'll keep all our final output files. Yeah, this is where we'll keep our final output files. So what will happen first, and then we also have my web.xml, and under my web.xml is where I will configure. Now I'll show you. You know what I'll do is I'll quickly take a screenshot, and I want to show you what are the things I'll keep where. So inside my view, I will add a file addition.jsp. Yeah, I will add a file addition.jsp here. This is my controller. This is my web inf. So now I want to show you the idea about how this particular thing works. The one which we have discussed earlier, how does that? First, I told you, right? What is the first step? All the calls will come to dispatcher servlet. Now, dispatcher servlet is an internal part of Spring. Dispatcher servlet is an internal part of Spring. So what will happen? It will come to the dispatcher servlet. So where we will configure that configuration will be written here in web.xml. The configuration that all the calls should come to dispatcher servlet. Where will I write that? I will have to write that in my web.xml. So let's go and write that first. Step 1. Let us go and write our configuration in web.xml. So for that reason, I go here under my web.xml, and in my web.xml, what do I tell them? That start and end of web app. I have got my display name. I have got some other values. Now I say there is a servlet. The servlet name is what? Dispatcher. Then I have got servlet class. What is my servlet class? Org dot spring framework dot web dot servlet dot dispatcher servlet. I am telling them that I have got a servlet by the name of what? Dispatcher, and it also requires an initial parameter. What is that initial parameter name? I'll have to tell them that I have to give them a context configuration. Context config location, and that location is where it's in my web inf slash, okay, that is where in my dispatcher servlet. So that is inside my web slash dispatcher servlet.xml. Okay, and then this servlet should have mapping. So see, you don't need to write this in your code. Now the thing is, because we have used all the annotation based, आप लोग को ये लिखना नहीं पड़ा कभी. But then in previous time we used to write it like this only. So here we are saying that dispatcher servlet and URL pattern क्या है? कोई भी कॉल आएगा आपको किसको देना है? You have to give it to this. It will be marked to dispatcher servlet. Now, so that was the step one. कि हम लोग ने कोई भी काम आया डिस्पैचर सर्वलेट को दिया. नाउ डिस्पैचर सर्वलेट विल गो एंड चेक विद द हैंडलर कि कौन से नाम से चीज़ें सेटल हुई है. सो फॉर दैट रीजन, इफ यू चेक डिस्पैचर सर्वलेट विल नाउ गो एंड चेक विद द हैंडलर मैपिंग. तो हैंडलर का मैपिंग कहाँ पे लिखा है हमने? वी हैव टू राइट दैट हैंडलर मैपिंग. दैट हैंडलर मैपिंग is basically nothing but written inside your which servlet doing what work is basically all of that information. So now we don't have to write that. Why? Because the controller is already registered. This controller here is already registered with us. So here we have got our controller registered. So what will happen, rather than going there, it will go to like handler mapping, right? Handler mapping. So it will come back and now it will go to the controller. And now controller will return what? See, the controller returns us a model and view. So now we have to go and write that controller. So let us do that. So if I go to my addition controller now, if I go to my addition controller, what will happen here? We have got our controller. Under that, we have got public. It returns a model and view, right? So I say public model and view from web servlet for add function. And here we are going to take what two parameters, int num1 and num2. So what I do here, see, first step one, I will have to mark this as what? Request mapper. Yeah, I'll say request mapping. My value is what? Slash add, and my method is request method dot get. So here we will specify what exactly do we are we looking for, and this all goes inside my request mapping. This all goes inside my request mapping. I am telling them I am releasing an API. It will take two request parameters. What are those two request parameters? So we have got request param number one, num1, and at request parameter num2. Okay. And in my model and view, I say what? Int addition is num1 plus num2, obviously. Then I can just print like, is the addition correct? So I say this is my addition value. Then I say model and view for model and view. And what do I say? Here I am telling them that there is going to be a view by what name? Addition.jsp. Yeah, there is going to be a view by what name? Addition.jsp. So I just pass addition from here because other things I will configure. And then I say model and view dot add object. And what is the object name? I can say that this is my result is addition. And then I return my model and view. So in this step, what we did, we wrote a controller. That controller is returning us a model and view. Yeah, that controller is returning us a model and view. So this controller was returning. Now, where is this view resolver return? So there's view resolver. See, it returns us here. So what we do, we call this step 4. It returns us what? Model and view. Now, based upon this, it will call another one, which is what? View resolver. Now, where is that view resolver of step 6? That view resolver is nothing but here. This is my view resolver. We are telling them this is where we have written where to go, what to do. So in that part, what I'll do now is I'll go back again in my view resolver in the dispatcher servlet where we have written nothing as of now. And here I will have to write, see, initial part of my bean. Okay, initial part of my bean. Now this is something we don't need to write this in exams. And this is end of beans as we have done earlier. All the beans are registered here. Now here, first thing first, because we are working with annotation, what we'll say, MVC colon annotation driven. We are telling them this is annotation driven application. And then where do we find it? So we'll do context scan is component scan, and what is my base package is com dot code with z. So they know where to search for it. Yeah, where are all my context or where are all my controllers or other things written. Then I register a bean. So I say bean class is now here I write my view resolver. I'll say org dot spring framework dot web dot servlet dot view dot internal resource view resolver. And here I have got two property like we have written earlier. So the name of the property is what? Prefix. Prefix is what? I am telling them that value here is what? Is slash web hyphen inf slash views and slash. And another property is what? Suffix. Value is .jsp. Okay, value is .jsp. We are telling them these, so they will go and find what. So what we have told them from additional controller, there is a file, there should be a file by what name? Addition, where in webinf views, and go for a file by what name? Addition, and suffix it with what? We are suffixing it with what? .jsp. So all these values have been now coming together, and the view resolver tells them where to go and find the view. Now based upon the returned value, what will happen? View resolver will return that to my view. Now dispatcher servlet will make a call to what? View. And from this view I will get what? Addition.jsp and the value. So if you see, the controller have also injected what? Controller have already injected a result. So that result will be available in my addition.jsp now, which I have to use. So let's go to my addition.jsp. Under my addition.jsp, I will say what? Page is there, language, okay, that is there. Then I say percent at taglib. Prefix we give is C, that whenever we are using this, we'll use C. And then my URI is, we have to give what? HTTP javasun.com JSTL core. And here I'll say my title is what? Result for addition. And under my body, I'll say addition is dollar, and what we have passed from there? Result. So it has injected result inside it. So this is what we work upon. Now what will I do is, let us try to execute this project. On the Tomcat, I want to execute this. So this is my port 8080 and other things are okay. I run this application. Okay, this is my Spring MVC app. So if I check the output now, if I copy this URL and I say slash add question mark number 1 is equal to 5 and number 2 is equal to 7, Enter. See, okay, the addition is result it is saying. I think I have made certain mistake in the addition.jsp part here. Let me check what I have done wrong. Main web app, web INF, views, addition. This is what I have done, right? See, answer is coming up here. The 12 answer is coming up here. I think let us relaunch. See, the answers are coming, but why? Okay, let's see. It's coming to the result is also getting injected. Model and view. It's going, so there is no problem in the dispatching as well now. It's going to web.xml, it knows where to find everything. So we have added JSTL, right? Yeah, we have added JSTL. JSTL is 1.2, right? The output is correct. Then why is the problem? Model and view object we're passing in. Okay. Let's say ABC from here. So what should happen here? Should also become ABC. Servlet version is what? 4, right? Servlet API. It's basically the expression issue. So from addition.jsp, it is not picking up that JSTL value, which is getting injected from here. That is the overall point left now. Okay. See the front controller. What scriptlet? What do you want to add? Add scriptlet to the result. Which result? No, that is how it is. In fact, the code which was running in the previous years also. Let us check. So here only what we have done is addition is num1, num2, model and view, and then we pass the result, which I was doing earlier. Just for checking, I made the changes. I said result. The problem is this data is passing through dispatcher servlet. The call is going to addition JSP. Here, it is not picking up that JSTL. Here, which is not picking up that JSTL. So that is the only problem we are facing right now. Dispatcher servlet slash views. This is also correct. See, all the data is coming fine. If I reload, okay, let's give it a last try. So this is basically addition is 30 is what, or like what the output you should be getting. We are not getting that for now. Yeah, it's going to result. I need to check why this is going wrong. Okay, but overall, this is your application. I will push this to the repo. See if anyone can try to resolve it. So this is my Spring MVC app. So the front controller, as one of the question asked, was what is the front controller? See, the front controller is the one where all the calls will go first, so that there is a centralized approach. All the major applications nowadays, they work with the same approach. They will have your data first in your front controller. It will decide where it should go. Yeah, this will decide where it should go. So what should I do? I'll create a new repo. Hinduja Spring MVC app. Okay, I will push this to the repo. That's not required, Sufyan. Let's see what you're saying. But still, that because we don't need it here. If at all could have been added, it would have been like this. But even that is not supported because we are working with JSTL here. So when we work with JSTL, it's inbuilt. It has its own inbuilt language, which we are using up like this. Yeah? Or else it would have started us giving us errors. Okay. So next is what? Let's go to z.com, and we have got the Java email part. Under my Java email, I think I'll have to find out for. Okay, sending a Java mail using. See, if you look at your syllabus, BCA syllabus, so we are done with Spring MVC Java email, right? So in the Java email part, what we need to do is introduction to the API, sending email using Java code, text email, and this thing. So I have basically added all that in my code here. So how do you send a Java email using the Java code? Sending a mail using Java code. So Java Mail API provides the collection of classes and interfaces which models of the sendings of email. For working with Java Mail, we require two jar files. Now we will obviously will not use jar files. We will basically switch for Maven based projects. So Java Mail API consists of some important classes and interfaces. So what we are going to do is first these are two packages. Uh, we have got javax.email and javax.mail.internet. Then there is a session class. Session class represents the session which is acquired with the mail account. For getting this session, all the required property as well as authentication have to be passed. So we pass the authentication object here. So we create a properties object here. See, mail SMTP true, mail SMTP socket factory true. Now, when we want to send the email with the gmail.com, what we do, we'll use SMTP host, then mail.smtp.socketfactory.javax.net.ssl socket factory. So, see, attempt to authenticate user with authentication command. Then mail.smtp socket factory specifies the port to connect. See, I will give you this particular part in the chat box. Then if set to true, failure, if it is set to true, failure to create socket using specified socket factory will cause socket to be created using java.net.socket. So once properties is created, authenticator object is required to make. So here we have got SMTP authenticator object where we specify our email and password by this way, and then we make use of it. So and then the session object is generated, and then we generate our MIME object, which is multi-purpose internet mailing extension object. एंड सो हियर वी फर्स्ट क्रिएट अ सेशन. सेशन के लिए क्या लगेगा आपको? प्रॉपर्टीज कहाँ पे कनेक्ट करना है एंड ऑथेंटिकेटर. व्हाई? बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली इफ आई वांट टू गेट अ connection, I will have to make sure that I get connected with the session object and the authenticator object. फिर हमको क्या करना है? SMTP का ऑब्जेक्ट एक MIME ऑब्जेक्ट बनाना है, and then we need to send that. Like we have to specify two CC, which is carbon copy, and BCC, which is blind carbon copy. And then we set up that message, and then the transport will be the responsible for sending that email. So this whole code is end-to-end application which is required for sending the message. So how will we do that? So for that reason, let me just quickly check what are the required. Okay, so they have said add one dependency. What will I do is let me create one more application project Java mail app. Okay, so let me create a simple Java based application, and under my form.xml I will have to add a dependency. This is my dependency for Java email. Then I do what? Under my package, new Java class. Sorry, first let us create a package form.code with Z. Under code with Z, let me create a Java class. Let's call it as send email. Okay, I add it, and under that email, let me have my code ready. So I will start. I will import what? Import Java X dot. What was that? Import. Okay, we have to use Jakarta email, which has changed the situations right now. Instead of Java mail, they are using Jakarta mail, and Jakarta dot mail dot internet dot star, and import java dot util dot properties. तो आप लोग को क्या करना है एग्जाम में जावा एक्स लिखना है इंस्टेड ऑफ जकार्टा, but here while obviously while working we have to make certain changes. Now if I have to send this email, what will I have to do is I'll have to add my username and password somewhere. So which email I can use? Okay. Hmm. Okay, what will I do is I will stop my screen share for 1 minute. Okay, I will stop my screen share. Yeah, yeah, you can use it with Servlet as well. Don't worry about that. Okay, I will shift my application from this screen to other screen. Okay, just give me a minute. I will have to check. Okay, so what I have done here is I have created a class. Anyhow, I will change my password after this. Password generator dot get password. Okay. So I've created a class. I'm not going to open that because it contains my password. And so now going back, I want to do what, send an email. So for sending that email, what I have to do is I have to use someone's email here. So what we can do is I'll use my other email and see whether I get an email. So I have got an XLX, a different email account for something, and here I have added my password. I have kept it in another file, so you can just write your string here, no problem at all, and it should say my first email. And I think it will fail this time. I run this. Yeah, see, I think it would fail because I think I'll have to go into the settings. I think I have to go into settings, and it says, okay, see, it told that something is wrong, but see, okay, Happy New Year, Vivek. So I think I have to go there and make the changes. And I truly have to check. There are certain steps we need to do. Go to account setting, security. There used to be a setting like this here. There used to be a setting like this here somewhere. I don't remember. Okay, see, what I'll do is I will leave this up to you. I will share this code obviously by deleting my password from somewhere. So now I will just see this code will work fine. Only thing is you'll have to make certain changes. Okay, see, this is how it will look like. So in the password generator, you will add your password here. In the sender email, you will add this. So I'm sending you this particular project, and also for sending HTML email. How do you send your HTML email? So for that reason also we have got sending your HTML email. So this is your link for that Java part code. So this is where I add my HTML example as well. Okay, so this is where I add. Okay, so this is the same example. This time you're just passing the HTML body. So the changes happens here is in the MIME text. You add HTML text slash HTML and you pass it on. Okay, why is it crying? Send HTML mail, right? Okay, it's already replaced. So this is how your application code will be working. And if you try to send it, obviously your email at gmail.com will not be there. So this will also give us bad credential. You can try to fix this issue. Yeah, you can try to fix this issue. It's not a big issue. You can give it a try. And I will push this to the repo. So I told you, right, these other applications are not very big. So those will happen quite quickly. Hinduja Java email. Create my repo. So this is the third repository which we have created today, which contains all our code. So just cross checking once. Okay, this is your third repository. And as we discussed earlier, for the last topic which you have in your practical list, sorry, that is Java with JSON. How do we encode, decode, all these things? I have listed all this in my playlist that is for JSON. See, this video basically contains all these things I have created, and this is a very simple topic, so I normally don't cover this. And you can just watch this few videos and you will be able to complete this. I've already discussed this during the last session. If you get any problem, they are not also very small, like 5-10 minutes videos max. So these are other things what we have. Let me see. We had that Java resources wala library, right? Let me just, for your final update, see in the readme MD file, I will just, so this is your Spring Core and MVC. So here the repo link for core is which? This is the repo link for core. This is the repo for MVC, and this is my Java email topic. For exam, focus on theory and Java codes both. By any chance, if you have question paper from previous years, just try to look at that also once. Do you have any access to them? Okay. Yeah. If you want me to go through the papers and help you out with that, please share the papers with me, and we can do some session before your exam also. No problem. For now, I would like you all to focus on your exams. I think I should shift this to the top right because you have already done with the other parts. I think this will be more helpful if this is on top. So if you go to readme MD on this one, okay. So I'm giving you one constant link here. Oh, we don't have swing anymore. Like it was long back. Can you all check the link once you have received it? Can you help me with the link? Like, can you check if the link is received for all of you, and you are able to? From there, you can just navigate through anywhere. If you have any questions, I will be open to answer. No problem at all. Okay. I hope everything clear here now for everyone. Okay. Now start studying, and so you have got exams from 8, right? So we have complete like we have done with this Java papers. If you want, you can send me the papers. If you want, I'll come live. We can do quick review. Any topics आपको करना है late evening time, obviously because I'll be in a training, so I will be able to complete up the things for you. Okay. Okay then. Thank you so much. If you can just add your roll numbers in the chat box, that would be good, and then we can stop. So you have my number. You all can ping me anytime if you want any help or something. I'll be able to help you out on that. Okay then. Thank you so much.